Yeah, we're following a story that's coming out of India, a news outlet out of India, and I'm reading from The Guardian reporting on it. There's a rotting Red Sea oil tanker that could leave nearly 8 million people without water. This tanker is positioned near Yemen. Yemen is engaged currently in an ongoing civil war with Saudi Arabia, and that perhaps is not the best way to describe the humanitarian crisis that is being caused directly by Saudi Arabia on the people of Yemen, especially the children of Yemen. But to add insult to injury, Georgia, there is an oil tanker that has been there since 2017. This oil tanker has been completely abandoned, and now it stands a risk of leaking millions, 1.1 million barrels of oil. And if you think about it, that is more than the oil that leaked from the Exxon Valdez back in 1989. And so this is a catastrophic situation that is happening in real time. They understand that this tanker is a threat to the ecosystem in the immediate area. It is a threat to the people of Yemen. It's even a threat to the people of Saudi Arabia. It's a threat to the environment, and it poses a significant problem, particularly because the people who are responsible for this tanker are allowing it to sit and rot since 2017. In very short order, these oil barrels could leak into the water supply there, killing all the fish, as well as making the water undrinkable and creating yet another disaster. You were speaking earlier about the conversation about both sides, Georgia. Well, there's no both sides to this. There's no both sides to the environment and the culpability of these corporations who see that abandoning this many barrels of oils since 2017 is an acceptable path forward, but it is certainly not an acceptable path forward for the people of Yemen.
Yeah, and Ben, what I don't understand is why we continuously see, even right now here in Minnesota, Enbridge, Line 3 is still under construction. How do we continuously see all of the evidence that this type of transportation of oil, it doesn't work? And again, when you talk about causing more harm than good, there has to be another way that does not jeopardize our environment, because we don't get a redo, and we also don't know the long-term effects that all of this oil spilling out is going to have on our environment, on our soil. Right. And you can mitigate it and you can clean it. But once that oil has spilled out in a place where it's not supposed to be, the long-term effects of that are going to be felt for generations to come. So when you think about the natural resources that we need to just live, we need clean air, we need water, just the basic things. Yet and still, because you have these huge corporations that value money, that value profits over people, they'll continue to jeopardize our well-being in order to make a dollar.
Oh, absolutely. They will not only jeopardize our well-being, but they'll sit back and watch us die if necessary to get that quarterly profit margin. Just ask the car manufacturers who didn't want to put in the plastic block stock to help keep cars from exploding. They did a cost-benefit analysis, and we found out later, after the fact, that they would rather have paid the cost of the lawsuits because of the deaths than to pay for the cost of the plastic piece that would have saved lives. Now, when it comes to the equation between capitalism and human life, we've seen where America falls at sundry times, at all the times. But now we're looking at this situation where since 2017, like Georgia, there's not a piece of property that I could abandon for that many years, for 4 years, especially one of this significance and this magnitude, and I be allowed to simply carry on as business as usual. This is something that should have been rectified as soon as humanly possible. But here we are 4 years later, and now it's an ecological disaster waiting to happen.
And then when you talk about 8 million people being impacted, what is the consequence for this? When are the consequences of this going to be so grave that these corporations start actually,
that's right,
making different decisions?
That's right.
This should be criminal. It should be criminal. This is not something that money can repair. And there's a saying, if it's not repaired, it will be repeated. And so we see this decision within corporations repeated over and over and over. When you look at the cost to fix something versus the fine that you'll get if it breaks.
That's right.
The fine is just a little slap on the wrist. But how are you continuously getting a slap on the wrist when your irresponsible behavior is impacting 8 million people?
Well, particularly here in the United States,
doesn't add up.
It doesn't. It doesn't add up. But the way they get away with it here in the United States is that they purchase politicians, right? They make contributions to their campaign. And all the while, they understand that those dollars are going to be used in the long run to make sure that there's no accountability, to make sure that there's no culpability. No one will be held accountable for these types of disasters, not in any significant kind of fashion, nothing but their pocket lint, their pocket change. They could pay these fines with their pocket change, but the environment is not recovering, and the people are going to suffer in the long run.
I mean, is it too harsh to say that some of these folks responsible for damaging our environment need to start getting locked up? I think they need to go to jail.
That's right.
I think that is going to be the only way that you'll start to see leadership in these corporations mitigate these types of issues. Because right now, if it's just a little fine, it's no big deal. These people need to be held accountable for the damage that they're causing to our Earth. Because when it's said and done, Ben, they'll be in Pluto. They'll be on another planet while we're here with little to nothing left because they've destroyed it.
And if they think that they can survive without this planet, then we're dealing with not only sociopaths, but we're dealing with morons. Because they have no place to go. I don't care how many times Jeff Bezos touches the tip of the planet. I don't care how many trips they take. The fact of the matter is that this is the only planet we have, and if they continue to treat it this way, then I'm afraid we're all going to go down with the ship.